What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 13 top DFS picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for this week's NFL slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 13. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. My top DFS pick at the quarterback position is Kirk Cousins from the Minnesota Vikings playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the second worst defense overall, and they give up the third most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins has averaged 19.4 fantasy points per game on the season, but take a look at his last two games. He scored 30 and 27 fantasy points in his last two games. Now, he's only projected at 16.7 fantasy points here in Week 13, but I think that projection is way too low. This guy has been on fire, and I want to ride that momentum all the way into Week 13 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he's got a fantastic matchup, and Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 52 points scored in this game, with the Vikings favored by 9.5. So I like Kirk Cousins here versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. My Week 13 top DFS pick at the running back position is Clyde Edwards-Helaire from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Denver Broncos, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they've given up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has averaged 14.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13.7 rush attempts per game and 4.2 pass targets per game. So he only scored 5 fantasy points last week, but we knew that game was going to be a shootout. It was not a running game script, but that's going to change here in Week 13, where he's projected at 13.2 fantasy points. He's got a great matchup versus the Denver Broncos, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 50 points scored in this game, with the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 13.5. So this absolutely is a running game script, and I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his ownership is going to be much lower this week than it should be because of that bad game last week. So great matchup, high scoring game, and a running game script. So I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire here versus the Denver Broncos.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. My top DFS pick at the wide receiver position is Allen Robinson from the Chicago Bears playing the Detroit Lions, who have the third worst defense overall, and they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Allen Robinson has averaged 17.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 9.8 pass targets per game. He scored 27, 10, and 15 fantasy points in the last 3 games, up of 13, 9, and 9 pass targets. He's projected at 15.3 fantasy points here in Week 13. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45 points scored in this game,
with the Chicago Bears favored by 3. So fantastic matchup. We got a close, competitive game, and this guy's getting a ton of pass targets. He's by far their number 1 target and will continue to get a ton of passing volume. So I like Allen Robinson here versus the Detroit Lions. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. Although this guy let us all down last week, my top DFS pick at the tight end position is Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders playing the New York Jets, who have the 5th worst defense overall, and they give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Darren Waller has averaged 13.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8.2 pass targets per game. And he's on the field for 91% of the snaps, projected at 16 fantasy points here in week 13. Vegas thinks there's going to be 47 points scored in this game, with the Raiders favored by 7.5. So fantastic matchup. This is a bounce back game, so I like Darren Waller here versus the New York Jets.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.